Hey guys, my name is Big Tino and welcome back to From the Depths. Now, before we get back into some fighting, I wanted to show you some revisions I did to the rock. Primarily, I've switched out the autocannons, which I was talking about last time. They just didn't have the rate of fire that autocannons need to be successful, so I rebuilt them. Now they are 200mm frag shells. This means their rate of fire is a good bit slower. They fire at about 150 rounds per minute, but they don't use belt-fed autoloaders, which means that they can fire pretty much forever. They carry enough shells to where once they've expended a clip, that one reloads, and they can keep that up for a good long time. They also do a whole lot more damage, and I'm just overall a bit more pleased with them. The next step will be to update these cram cannons, which again, I like the cram cannons, but maybe something like the grenade launcher on the Owlbear would be good, or it could be that after we beat the Onyx Watch, I will just build a new ship. Now, I certainly will be building a new ship after we beat the Onyx Watch, but I'm not sure if that's going to also entail me making sort of a 2.0 design of the rock. I'm kind of thinking not. I'm kind of thinking after these revisions, it's about as much work as I've put into it that I've wanted to put into it. And after this, I'll just be building a new sort of main craft. The rock will probably stay with us for a while, though. It does have a lot of wood, though, which is the only thing. I think from this point on, we're going to kind of retire the use of wood in our designs. It's nice, it looks good. It's basically paper mache, though. So in the future, most of our stuff will be built primarily with metal, and maybe some lightweight alloy for things like the deck, just so it has a bit of buoyancy. Alright, all that being said, let's get back into the campaign. Now, they have a bunch of fleets coming. Oh, hey, look. It's a big group of Defiants again. And another big group of Defiants. That's awesome. And then they have the small fleet coming here. So my goal for today is actually to defeat the Onyx Watch, which I don't think will be too difficult. I do think we have a bit more room to push up here. I don't remember exactly where the Onyx Watch's home base is, but I remember it's sort of along the western edge of the map here. So I'm just going to keep pushing up this way, taking, passive least resistance. Once I beat these two, I'm going to ignore that 150 and go through the 48 and the 39. Yeah, so probably today, since I do in this episode want to defeat the Onyx Watch, I'll be skipping around to the more interesting battles. I don't want to use up a ton of time just looking at the same battle over and over and over again, although I think I will probably fight this giant group of Defiants on camera, because I don't think it's going to take very long, not with the ships that we have. Let's go ahead and bring all those Defiants in. See how that goes. I honestly think that our Sahuagin, the water skimmer torpedo boat, is going to be pretty devastating against these guys, because they are just sailboats with cram cannon broadsides, which, it's not going to be very effective against a very quick water skimmer. Oh, hey, look at that. This is one that has flown away, apparently. Let's try to make it so it's not way, way, way up into the air. Just going to set these guys up real quick. I am bringing the pack mule in this time, which should be helpful. Another one that has flown away. Alright. And there's a Pathfinder. It can stay back here. Alright, good enough. Let's do this. Probably a bit of lag at the start, just because this is so many sailboats. But they're probably going to be blowing up left and right very, very quickly. Man, that is a lot of sailboats. That's an armada right there. Oh yeah. Yeah, look at this lag. I'm hoping... Ooh boy. Some of them may have spawned on top of each other. Yeah, I think some of them have, because I can already see some of them blowing up. That's a shame. Well, I do want to show off the new frag cannons. You'll be able to see their rate of fire at least. And then probably what I'll do is I will cut out the laggiest part of the start of the fight, just while all these collisions get, you know, figured out, and then we'll get back into it. So yeah, thankfully you can see frag cannons already firing. They don't need that long reload phase like the autocannons did. Okay, yeah, let's zoom on over here to the Defiants, who I believe are actually shelling each other. From the looks of things. I mean, unless our opening volley is just devastating, I feel like something has gone terribly wrong with the organization of this fleet. But let's check them out, and then I'll probably cut out most of the rest of this fight unless something happens particularly interesting. There's the shell of one there. Not sure how that boat is just sort of sticking up out of the water like that. Man, they're already firing from way, way, way back there, and I can already see explosions hitting each other. This is just awful. But I don't feel like we're missing too much because, of course, we have fought many Defiants already. I guess this is sort of like just a preset expert difficulty fleet. Just a million Defiants. Which I feel would, towards, you know, maybe closer to the beginning of the game, would actually be kind of threatening. I mean, these broadsides aren't terrible. Like, those could be some pretty scary guns, and these ships actually have about the same price as one of the Pathfinders, so certainly they bring more firepower to bear than our little Pathfinder. But for right now, yeah, I'm going to edit this out. I'll just fast forward this fight because we're just going to be sinking a lot more sailboats, and I'll be back either towards the end of this fight or just at the start of the next one. Okay, well, that didn't take too long. It went about as you might expect. Forgot to repair some of the ships. A couple of the Sahuagin got hit. Like this guy, who seems to be all better now. So we're moving into the next tile over. Looks like they've got 2 Grindles and a Stockade. So let's just... Where's the rock? There it is. Let's just hit them with about the same in point value. Yeah, we'll bring the pack mule in. What's that? Owlbear? Nah, let's bring in the Sahuagin. Yeah, I'll be able to get all 4 of these guys. And maybe 1 owlbear. Maybe. Nope, looks like we're about even here. So, a Stockade and 2 Grindles. Let's do it. And I think I will probably end up skipping the next couple of battles, because I don't want this episode to go on for too long, and there are going to be several battles before we get to the end of the Onyx Watch. But I'll record a couple of them. As you can see, this is the new fire rate of the new frag cannons. Let's see if I can get over there and show you some of the damage. I tweaked its detection system a little more, added a bit more detection to it, and now it's a fairly accurate craft, even when it does rock around a bit. Looks like we've already kind of torn the side of this thing up a little bit. course, I say that it's accurate, but then we just have a big string of misses there. Although I think it's because this thing was heading directly forward, hit a wave, and was sort of stopped in its tracks. There go our Sahuagins being shot out with cram cannons, although I'd be very impressed if any of these actually hit. They're so bouncy. I love it. Yeah, I will say this about the Onyx Watch territory. It's the water is so choppy. There's so many waves, and very, very large waves. I'm not sure if this is going to be consistent throughout the game or if it's just this territory. Like I said, the last time I played this campaign, waves weren't really a thing, or at least they weren't a thing that had actual impact on the game. You can see our torpedoes from the Sahuagin coming in. Yeah, they're the trails. You can't see them from above water anymore. I hate that. I'll look at my graphics and see if I can turn those back on, because I think that looks so cool when you can see the torpedoes just sort of zeroing in on something. Let's see what this does. Big explosion there. 4 torpedoes hit. Looks like we have cracked through its armor, but it, probably like the owlbear, is just made of a ton of space armor. So it'll probably be a bit before those torpedoes bring this thing down. In the meantime, still the pretty reliable rate of fire of the new frag cannons, dealing a lot more damage than the autocannons did. And for essentially the same cost. It really is the same pieces for the most part. I've switched it around a little bit, but for the most part it is just the same design of cannon with a few tweaks and some changes in its gauge and ammo. Are you destroyed then? Not destroyed, but the rock has switched targets, so I'm guessing most of your weapons are gone. Looks like we're already sinking this guy. Yeah, I do just love the really sustained fire rate that these frag cannons have. I mean, the autocannons have the same thing, but they just weren't as effective, and these are doing just a lot of damage. Even if their muzzle velocity is a lot slower, they're still accurate enough to hit most of the time. And even when they don't hit, it's not like we're really losing very much, because they are just consistently firing. Looks like one of the turrets on this thing is gone. This Grindle, a lot of torpedo hits there in the back. That looked pretty rough. Yep, that is probably not supposed to look like that. Sir, you have a hole in your bottom. Yeah, much more pleased with the firepower of the rock now. I think those frag cannons do give it a lot more finishing power, as honestly do the torpedoes from the Sahuagin. I feel like these craft here, the rock and the Sahuagin, do make a very good team, just because the rock soaks up so much of the fire. Enemy ships, for the most part, are usually programmed to fire at the biggest threat, and obviously that's going to be the rock. It is far and away the biggest ship that I've built in this campaign so far, definitely the biggest ship that I'm using, and it's stable and defended enough to take a good many hits. Whereas the Sahuagin are none of those things, but because they're so small, even when they're much closer to the target, the rock still ranks as a higher priority, just because of its size. And so while these ships are just focusing on the rock, the Sahuagin are just sort of bouncing around, dropping torpedoes into the water. And of course I do still love how water skimmers in this game work, especially I'm especially pleased with how the Sahuagin has turned out, just because it is able to right itself a good bit of the time. Like I said, it does have some roll control, not a ton. It's certainly not able to flip itself back over if it has rolled onto the top, but for the most part, it's able to control itself well enough. And its erratic movements do make it pretty hard to hit. Looks like the rock is finishing these ships up. Probably won't be too much longer. Like 49,000 materials for that. Those are both the same. And the stockade looks like 82,000. So we're a little outgunned here in terms of point cost and volume, but yeah, the slow movement speed of the Onyx Watch does make them, if they are hard targets, they're also slow targets. And so that does just sort of give us, you know, punching bags to just hit over and over and over again. And as you can see, the Rock has not stopped firing those frag guns this entire time. Each of them can load about 600 shells, and because they're not belt-fed loaders, they are loading, reloading, basically the entire time. So when one clip gets empty, then it moves on to firing from the next clip, and that clip refills. So it's got this pretty sustained fire of pretty basic frag shells. But they are able to chip away at the enemy pretty well. Yeah, these guys didn't stand too much of a chance. Doesn't look like we took any damage, although actually one of these Sahuagin is not listed there. I may have just lost the Sahuagin entirely. Or it could be another of those cases where I forgot to bring it into the fight. That's also possible. I guess we'll see after the fight ends, which should be very, very soon. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and cut this part here, because, you know, it's over. So a couple of battles later, and not going to show this whole battle, but I did want to show it a little bit, because 5 ships just spawned on top of each other in just a nice big clump. One of them is already basically disintegrating. This is actually 2 ships here, kind of inside of each other, and then we have our nice Flying Dutchman here, all arrayed against our lovely fleet. So, you know, sometimes there are some spawn difficulties in this game, but hey, what can you do? Alright guys, so I've been at this for quite a while now. There have been several battles between the last clip and this one, and unfortunately I am running out of time, so I'm going to do one last battle here. It looks like there's a small fleet defending a coastal town, and you know how much I love bombarding coastal towns. So, I'm going to do this last fight, I'll call the episode, and then at the start of the next episode I will be at the final battle with the Onyx Watch, and from there we'll move on to a build, because I want to build a battleship for our next war. So let's go ahead, place everybody. This is pretty much the whole fleet here. There's one owlbear missing just because, well, they're slow and he got very far away. But everybody else is here. Let's go ahead and get into this last battle for the day. Okay. The Rock immediately starting off with its big frag cannon volley. And missiles and its main cannon. A lot more firepower on this thing now that I've upgraded those smaller cannons. Big hits on this one. Looks like it's already lost a gun. Already taken some good damage. Shouldn't take too long. Let's look and see what this village is here, because I haven't seen an Onyx Watch village yet, at least in this campaign. Looks like they have a couple of coastal defense weapons. Some sort of big house back there. Let's see. Oh, you know, I gotta say, the next ship that I build is going to have a much more heavily armored bridge than the Rock does, because it's just not a safe place to sit. I mean, I thought it would be, but honestly, they just love targeting that one spot, which, again, fine with. Nothing important there, except for me. But, you know, I do like, since the Rock is definitely what tanks most of the enemy fire, I do like sitting in it because I can help to heal, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So let's just go ahead and we'll spawn on Owlbear instead. Looks like our Sahuagin are darting around and dropping their torpedoes just fine, although a couple of them getting quite close to the enemy. One of them has possibly stopped. Yep, looks like it's been damaged. Let's see what the damage is. Okay. Yep, no, that's the damage. That's a big hole. Yep. Well, I'll sit here on this one, see if I can help repair it some. Hopefully that guy will not crash into us. So let's get back to looking at this town. So it looks like this. Okay, yeah, it's kind of a combo cram cannon and rapid fire advanced cannon. Another of those shaped like a ballista. I love how the Onyx Watch do their autocannons like ballista. I guess the plural would be ballistae. Cram cannon looks like a lighthouse. That's pretty cool. This looks like some sort of ore smeltery. Yeah, definitely supposed to, you know, put ore in there, melt it into ingots and whatnot. And this is awesome. This is some kind of mansion. Oh, that's so cool. I've not seen like just a big house built in this game before, and I love it. That is really, really awesome. Okay, let's get back to the fight. Looks like everyone's doing fine, except for our Sahuagin. Our Sahuagin are kind of struggling in this one. It may be because, well, it may be because they are running aground. Which makes sense. Honestly, these things aren't programmed to deal with, you know, not water terrain very well. So I'm not really surprised that they're dashing themselves upon the rocks. Okay, so I'm riding the one that is still working. Looks like the rock has taken a good bit of damage still. The halberd is really dishing out some punishment. So maybe I will tell everyone to focus on the halberd just so we can drop this thing quickly and move on. Okay, yeah, look at that. Looks like 4 double-barrel advanced cannons. Yeah, that's going to do some pretty serious damage to the rock. So let's just get everybody to target that guy. It's got shields, it's got munition defense. That's a pretty beefy ship. And it's pretty cool looking too. But here comes the owlbear. Ooh, and something has hit the Sahuagin. It is still technically operational, but I'm afraid it's probably not going to get back into this fight. So, looks like raiding coastal towns is not a good job for the Sahuagin, which makes sense considering they are torpedo craft. Torpedoes can't really skip along the sand. Or actually they can, but not predictably or reliably. Everyone else is doing okay. Kind of wishing I had that other owlbear in here now, though. Looks like the rock is... No. Well, actually, yeah, looks like the rock might be getting a little low to the water. But it looks like we're getting some good hits on this thing. Maybe. Sure wish we had more of those torpedoes. Speaking of which, good hit there from a torpedo. Thankfully, even if the Sahuagin are damaged to the point where they can't move, they will continue to fire their torpedoes. So as long as they're anywhere close to the water, they can still actually participate in the battle. But unfortunately, it looks like all 4 of them have been so damaged they've been removed from combat. Looks like we've dropped one of the guns off of the halberd. The rock is flying quite low. It is at 91%. I will take the chance and spawn on it, just so I can lend my healing skills to it as well. Looks like we lost the front gun. All the propellers are still working, although it looks like several of them have been damaged. But they're working enough to keep us in the air, which is all the guns really need, honestly. Looks like we're scoring a lot more hits against the halberd there. You can see some blocks chunking off. Does seem to be foundering just a bit. I think we've damaged its movement capabilities, whatever those ones were. Hey, a torpedo! Look at that. Taking out the other halberd's gun, or the halberd's other gun. Nicely done. Okay. I don't think this thing is much of a threat anymore, although those munition defense lasers are going to be pretty annoying. But this thing does still have plenty of guns.
Engaging now.
So let's kill it. Oh, hey, look, there's a Sahuagin out there. I guess its AI is dead, but it's not so damaged that it can't... that it's destroying itself, so maybe it'll get repaired. And if it has a chair left, then I can hop on and help repair it as well. So I think the rock is doing okay now. Oh, no, never mind. It is upside down. Oh, and a cram shell just... poor thing. Come on, guys. You don't need to pick on this thing. It's had enough, I think. Yes, we may be destroying your lovely town, but that's no reason to pick on our little ships. Looks like the rock is doing okay now. It has stabilized, especially now that those advanced cannons are gone. Looks like maybe the halberd has been destroyed completely, because that is definitely a bunch of confetti that used to be a boat. And it looks like this is the last of the enemy ships here. This was a, what is it, a Grindle? Yeah, a Grindle. And a bunch of our frag shells coming in to take care of it. To take care of it. Yes, that's what we're doing. We're taking care of the Onyx Watch. We're being kind and loving neighbors. It looks like we may have shut its... No, that cram cannon is still firing. I think we've simply damaged its other weapons. I will say, the Onyx Watch can't dish out as much damage as most of the other factions, but man, can they take it. And of course, there are ways to really just chew through the armor like this. Like, if I had a ship with a really powerful laser, then this would probably be over pretty quickly. But in the early game, I don't like using energy weapons, including, you know, lasers, particle cannons, railguns, things like that, just because they're so material intensive. It takes so many materials to keep them operational, because a good laser, a good railgun is going to take a good bit of power to use, which means that it's going to need a big engine that consumes a whole lot of fuel, or a big steam engine that just straight up consumes a whole lot of materials. And while that is fine later on in the game when we have a bigger income, early on we don't really have enough resources to maintain a ship like that, or a weapon like that, and also continue our advance without stalling. And so far I haven't really in this campaign just sat around and waited to get enough resources to build a ship. I've only really designed ships that I've had the materials to build, so that I can just sort of keep up the momentum of it. Looks like this thing is going down, but slowly. Is it too damaged? It is not too damaged, but a big cram shot from the owlbear hitting it in the back. A lot of hits from the rock. Still just tearing into its mostly lifeless husk now, which is nice. Hopefully we will not start tearing into one of these little pathfinders here. That would be nice. Yeah, looks like its friendly fire warning is taking effect, although that is causing it to miss. Yeah, you can see those shots just going wide because it's turning the guns away so it doesn't shoot our allies. That's fine, though. I'm not worried about ammunition. Not in the rock. Not anymore. Not that the frag guns aren't just as ammo intensive, but they can load so many shells and they continue to reload that it takes a very long time for them to actually run out of ammo. Even when the ship's ammo storage itself is empty, they do regenerate naturally, or replenish naturally, I should say, at more than fast enough to keep this thing firing. So I'm really loving the new frag shells. Even if individually they don't do a ton of damage, they do a good bit of damage over their long barrage. And I think this thing might be dead because we've stopped targeting it. Yep. It is... Ooh, it's AI dead, actually. Nope, nope, it's too damaged. It is disappearing. There it goes. Alright, time to take out these coastal defense weapons. What I'm probably going to do is destroy the coastal defense weapons, and then I'm going to go in and capture the rest of the buildings, like I've done before. Like I said, I don't feel bad about walking up and capturing buildings, because that's sort of what they're there for, honestly. Like, that's the point. You know, and you can tell that's the point because in these buildings, the AI mainframes are really easy to find. Like, they're just left right out of the open, almost as if to say, like, hey, if you've made it this far, you have essentially captured this town, which I appreciate. It's basically free resources. Not that, well, it's not free resources because we did lose 4 Sahuagin taking this town, but, you know, these buildings alone will almost certainly more than make up the cost of those Sahuagin. Ooh, the big one's going down, though. I wasn't expecting the big one to die like that. That's a shame, because that would have been a lot of resources there. Looks like the missiles are what's really causing that, and the rock flying into a mountain. So I'm going to turn you on just stationary hover mode so you can continue firing. Looks like that's had quite enough. Let's take out this cannon, and then I will come in and capture the village.
Engaging now.
Oh, I hate to see this thing get damaged. This building is so cool. I love the colors of it. I love the design of it. It's just awesome. Come on, take this thing down so I can safely turn everybody's weapons off and start running in and capturing things. Okay, that looks like it's quite dead. So I'm going to turn all the AI off as we see this lovely crossfire of cannon shells. And I'm going to come in and take this village. So since this was the last battle of the day, I'm going to go ahead and call the episode here. You don't need to see me running in, hunting for AIs among houses. In the next video, we're going to start by attacking the Onyx Watch capital, and then we'll move straight into a building episode. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.